Yeah, that Nickelodeon broadcast, it was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. Iron Eagle's son, Bald Eagle, called the play-by-play. He was great. They had a 14-year-old kid, Lex Lumpkin, doing the sideline reporting. And what am I doing? I'm a 36-year-old man making dick jokes in my basement about football. Nothing has highlighted my personal failures like seeing that Nickelodeon broadcast. Welcome back to another episode of Odd Man Sports. I'm your host, Brandon Perna. I'm also the host of the That's Good Sports YouTube channel. On the show this week, we'll be talking about Dolphins rumors, Vikings reunions, and a bank-breaking playoff performance for the ages. Dinks and Dunks. This is where I talk about all of the stories in the NFL that interest me from this past week. And from Wild Card Weekend, we learned that practices are useless, and so are head coaches. The Browns upset the Steelers without the benefit of either, which is not exactly a ringing endorsement for Kevin Stefanski's Coach of the Year campaign, especially if Stefanski's Browns do get clapped by the Chiefs. But here's what I realized. The NFL has decided Kevin Stefanski is just too sexy for viewers. When the season started, everyone has to wear masks on the sideline, which covered up the most chiseled jawline in the NFL. But we could still see those brooding, mysterious, dark eyes watching the play unfold. And then they took that from us too. My only explanation is that Kevin Stefanski was causing such mass hysteria at home that they had to lock him in a basement to protect us from his brown hotness. That's why I am in a basement too, some say. The biggest news of the Wild Card Weekend was a report that Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson was open to waiving his no-trade clause. First, he was photographed in that vintage Dan Marino shirt. Then, he went swimming with an actual dolphin and mimed the "call me" sign. The writing was on the wall. I just looked at the Dolphins photos and put two and two together. I'm not a psychic. I just like context clues. And after seeing this a month ago, I knew Urban Meyer was destined for Jacksonville. One developing story I'm keeping a close eye on: the Detroit Lions defensive end Everson Griffin's potential reunion with the Vikings after Griffin tweeted this out on Monday. "Bring me home, baby. I'm here to stay. I'm safe as fuck. Thank you." As profanely polite as this plea was, I can think of one reason Mike Zimmer might be hesitant about bringing back the stud defensive end. Last week, Everson Griffin tweeted this about Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. "Kirk Cousins is ass. Thank you." While making fun of Kirk Cousins will always be a popular thing to do because I guess 35 touchdown passes is nothing, I'll take a guess and say tweeting this is probably not the best way to worm your way back into the Skull Army. This reminds me of when their mascot Ragnar demanded a raise and threatened to join the Packers. You do that shit and you get replaced by Victor the Viking. Now, I'm not normally the sentimental type, but I'm actually starting to feel bad for Captain Kirk, the NFL's favorite punching bag. 1 minute, you're filming crack cancer challenges with your teammate.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cousins for the Crack Cancer Challenge. So I got Everson and Dalvin here to crack the egg. Let's do this.
Although now that I see that video again, you can clearly see that Everson Griffin really uses an unnecessary amount of force to break that egg on Cousins' head. Speaking of social media challenges, the latest one to apparently sweep the sports world is the Powdered Donut Challenge, in which you stick powdered donuts on your ears and say something nice about Tom Brady. Here's Chase Young's attempt.
Tom, you one of the best to ever do it. They say the best to ever do it.
Let's see if I can do it. Ha! All right. Tom Brady Tom Brady is better than Drew Brees at being 43 and posting to social media about being 43. Did it! I did the powdered donut challenge. LeBron James. Here we are, Money Talks. Take those earmuffs off, kids. Nickelodeon did such a good job explaining football to you, kiddos. I thought I would use this opportunity to explain betting to the next generation of football gamblers. Okay, kids, let's start with something called point spreads. A point spread is the number of points by which a stronger team is expected to defeat a weaker team. Betting on these point spreads can make a game you don't care about feel like the most important thing in the whole wide world. And if the team you picked wins, you can have a tasty drink to celebrate. And if the team you picked doesn't win, you can have even more drinks. But be careful, kids, because sometimes you think you won a bet thanks to a last-second Jimmy Graham touchdown, but it turns out you didn't. Thanks to some obscure rule change stipulating that teams no longer have to kick extra points once time has expired if it won't affect the outcome of the game. When this happens, adult men sometimes act like little boys.
You know what? You gotta kick that extra point. You have to. You have to. You have to. You have to. You have to kick that extra point. You have to.
No, you have to! You have to! You have to! You have to! See, kids, something you'll come to learn is sports don't cure the overwhelming chaos of life like we think they do. But betting on sports can help you forget all of that, for a few hours at least. Having your hard-earned money hang in the balance while a group of men you don't know chase a ball around a field can make you feel happy or incredibly sad. But at least you're feeling something, which is better than nothing. Now let's break open that piggy bank and I'll explain something called can't miss futures. This is for advanced kids. For today's Odd Man Out, I'm talking to the fans of the Bears, the football team, Patriots, and Colts. The four teams with absolutely no idea who their quarterback of the future is. Wildcard Weekend provided a new potential glimmer of hope in the image of Washington quarterback Taylor Heinicke. Will it be a mirage? Only time will tell, but in his matchup against the Bucs, Heinicke showed everything you'd want in a quarterback: poise, touch, mobility, and in true Washington football fashion, the ability to get injured after one hit. In 4 quarters of inspired football, the free agent quarterback may have made himself $40 million. Which brings me to one Matt Flynn. In the final game of 2011, Aaron Rodgers' backup set a franchise record with 480 yards passing and 6 TDs in a win over the Lions. Based on this one game, the Seahawks rewarded Flynn with a 3-year, $26 million contract. So how'd that work out? Flynn completed 5 passes for Seattle before being made obsolete by a rookie quarterback out of Wisconsin. Now this is not to say that Taylor Heinicke is Matt Flynn 2.0. Brock Osweiler was actually Matt Flynn 2.0. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and the idea of going into the 2021 season with Jarrett Stidham or Mitch Trubisky is the definition of desperate. But before throwing the bag at Heinicke, teams need to do their research. I went back to watch Heinicke's XFL tape. He did an elite job at being prepared on the sideline in case starting quarterback and XFL star Jordan Ta'amu got hurt. That shows he has starting quarterback level patience. But the most important trait you want from your NFL QB, next to the first line of their Twitter profile mentioning Jesus, is a body that can process alcohol as fast as their mind can process defensive coverages. And Heinicke has that in spades. Oh yes, the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer smash by a guy named Heineken. Perfect. Not since Bill's tackle, Sam Adams did a beer bong, have I seen such perfect boozy synergy. I'm still waiting for the Brown Sheldrick red wine to slam a bottle of Cabernet after a pick six. But if you look a little closer at Taylor Heineke in that video, that's right, that's Bud Light Seltzer. Bud Light Seltzer for Taylor Heineke? I'm not going to pretend to know if Heineke is the next Kurt Warner, another QB plucked from obscurity who turned out to be a franchise changer. But if Heineken is ready to break into the seltzer game, they know who to call. Assuming somebody makes him their starter. You don't want to do a deal with the backup. Real sports anchors vacuum and clean up their own mess. It's the manly thing to do.